Ooh, what's up, Internet? My name is Nerdy, and this is the second episode of It's Just Video Games, my podcast where I talk about how it's not just video games. The title is a lie. This time I was talking with Joanie Brosas, the cosplayer, model, and Twitch streamer who I have been following for years. We get into it in the interview, but I first encountered her. Well, you'll find out. Stay tuned. Get into the interview to find out. But she is someone who I have watched adapt and evolve in this industry over the course of almost a decade, and I've always been so fascinated by her. And so the fact that she was willing to sit down and have this conversation with me was an absolute treat. What made it even more special is that she is just such a happy, joyful, like exuberant human in a way that this conversation was a blast. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I did. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I enjoyed Resident Evil 8. If you were in my Twitch stream this weekend, how good was that game? A little bit short. I beat it in 10 hours, but wow. That Ethan Winters, he really went through something. I went through something with him, and I never played Resident Evil 7, and so I'm gonna have to go back and do that because I really, really enjoyed that game. I might have a video coming up soon with my full thoughts. Maybe we'll see if I have time to get around to it. But you know what I do have time for you to listen to this conversation with Joanie Brosas. Enjoy. Joanie Brosas, thank you so much for joining me for an episode of It's Just Video Games. I was originally gonna call it It's Just Vidja Games, like Fidja, but then I realized that no one was gonna know what that was except me.
Oh. Wait, is it a Y now?
No, it's video. I spelled it the right way.
Oh. Well, you can say it however you want.
Right? Yeah. How are you doing? How is your quarantine going? I feel like that's the first question you have to ask anyone these days.
Good. Well, something you find out with quarantine is whether you married the right person. And I definitely did. So thank goodness for that. I wasn't even worried, actually. But I'm worried for like a lot of people because you're getting to know your partner on a 24/7 level. And your kids, I'm sure, too. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, do I like this life? I don't know. But I did a good thing.
Yeah. So Clarus and I, we started dating on February 12th of 2020.
That's my birthday.
No way.
How exciting.
So we I was about to say happy birthday, but it's May. I can never tell what day of the year it is. So we started dating, and then we were working on a cruise ship together. So we were already kind of quarantined together in a very different way. And then we found out we were being laid off by the cruise ship on May 12th. And so we'd been dating for about a month, and she was from Canada and I was living in New York at the time. And neither of us had a place to go because we'd given up our apartments to go on the ship. So I was like, hey, I know we've been together a month, but do you want to come move in with my family in Calgary, where we're both from? And she was like, yeah. And so we ended up, yeah, we moved in, we quarantined in my parents' bedroom for 2 weeks, and then 6 months later we got married.
Gosh, I love it.
Yeah, it was
exciting.
It was definitely something. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. We talk about it a lot because we're at the point in quarantine where it's like we've spent a lot of days together.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like how do you separate but still know that you guys love each other? You know what I mean? You're like, I want my alone time. It doesn't mean I don't want to have time with you. I just want to have some time to kind of just, I don't know, be in my own element. With no judgment or no trying to impress anybody. And I think we've done a pretty good job. We have creative rooms. So Cole has his streaming creative room. I have my streaming creative room. And we just kind of, I don't know, we kind of just go off and do our own thing. And I think streaming helps with that because it feels like you're hanging out with your own friends, but they can pop in and say hello. So that's pretty nice. I like it. I don't think I go out much anyways. Not much of a party person. So good excuse to not hang out with people I don't want to hang out with.
Yeah.
I'm lazy. I just want to be home all the time. So playing online perfect for me.
Yeah, I definitely feel that because, Claris and I both have our separate stream schedules. And
Hmm.
I've taken to choosing things that I want to watch, that I don't watch with her on purpose. That I'm like, this is
Hmm.
going to be my TV show that like I watch
Yes.
in my alone time.
That's so special. I do that when I fold laundry, but
Hmm.
sometimes Cole will pop in and he's like, "What you watching?" And I'm like, "Some garbage TV," because that's my guilty pleasure is like really garbage TV, like these reality shows
Hmm.
that I don't know. I could put on in the background and listen to people fight. So this most recent one was, have you heard of Are You the One?
No.
So I think it's on Netflix. It's 10 males, 10 females. All of them have like a perfect match in the house, but they don't know who it is. So they have 10 tries to find out who it is, then they'll win money. And so it's really interesting to watch because you're like, oh, they're definitely not good for each other. Like, oh, they're great for each other. I can see that. And you can, like, each episode they find out, they can put two people in a booth and they'll tell them if that's correct or not. So they have ways of narrowing it down. I was like, oh, it's some garbage TV. Cole walks in and he's like, I kind of would like to watch this with you. I'm like, okay. But he hates it. He's like, why do you get me into these garbage shows? He's great.
That's God, that's funny. I'm not a big reality person, and neither is Clarus. But
Hmm.
I have definitely I've been in past relationships. I've dated girls who are, and it is so easy to get sucked into them.
Oh yeah.
I remember I watched like one season of The Bachelor, and
Oh my gosh.
like I ended up finding it really fascinating because I think The Bachelor, the editing is so fun to me, and so like that's
Hmm.
that's mostly what I watch it for. Is I'm like, ooh, I see what you did there.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was wild. My one of my best friends and my ex would like The Bachelor was like their night, and so they would be over and they'd be like screaming and watching in the living room, and I would sit there and watch, and I was just like, I'm into it. I guess I don't want to be,
Right?
but I
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a train wreck. You can't look away from it, but you're like, but what happens?
Yeah.
They're good. They're good at sucking you in.
My problem with reality television is that I do end up liking the people, but I always
Hmm.
I end up in a position where I'm like, I want better for you than this.
Right? You're like, oh, why are you allowing this to happen to you? It's so terrible. This person's garbage.
I want to know how Netflix for that show determines who the perfect matches are.
Me too. Like, I want to know, like, what is it based on? Like, I'm always yelling at the TV. I'm like, why don't you just stand in a room, all of you pair up, and then you rotate each one, and you talk about the most awful things that you have like the most aggressive views on, and
Hmm.
just narrow it down. It's not that hard, but I don't know. I don't know how they narrow it down, but it seems like a lot of them are paired somewhat like religious background and past relationships. Like you can see like things that people butt heads on. But
Hmm.
it's interesting. I'd really like to know like what the stats are because the problem is when other people fall in love with each other and then they're like, I don't want to participate in this game. I don't care if I win $100,000. And you're like, no, but it's a game. Participate, and they won't. It's fun. Garbage TV.
You know what? I get that though, because like if you were like, all right, you can either be with someone that you actually love, or
Hmm.
you can have $100,000. I would be like, nah, I'll take that love because I'll make $100,000.
Right?
You know what I mean? Eventually,
Exactly.
you.
It's worth it. It's worth
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Love is so much better than money,
Yeah. But
especially
you could be what?
especially if they're like, no, 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 you have to be with this person. You're both Christians, and you're like, yeah, okay, but like,
But like they suck.
yeah, 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 yeah. But have you smelled their breath? Like,
Right? I can't live with it. That's why I wonder, because like sometimes you'll see these couples pair up, and you're like, okay, they're pretty compatible.
mm-hmm,
Or you'll see people who are toxic, but they're super drawn to each other, and you're like, no, you need to find your match
mm-hmm.
because you obviously can't do this yourself. You suck. So it's interesting, like, and I noticed that in mine and Cole's relationship, we're just like we're opposites in some ways, but we're really the same in the most. That's what's important. But
Mm-hmm.
watching other couples kind of tear each other apart. You're like, ooh.
So, this was ostensibly supposed to be a video games podcast, so I think that we should talk about a video game
Oh
at some
yeah.
point. But I wanted to start with, I love that for those people watching the YouTube video of this, instead of listening to it, you have that Vampirella standee behind you.
Thank you.
Because the first time I ever encountered you, not in real life, but your image was in 2017 at New York Comic Con, when it's Image Comics, right? Vampirella's Image, Dynamite.
Vampirella's Dynamite, yeah.
They did a big reveal of the cosplayers at a panel that I had gone to. So the first time I had never heard of you before, and then I suddenly saw you up on like the big screen they had up at the front of the panel, and so I'd started following you on Instagram. This was 4 years ago now, and I've just been following you for a long time, and I've always been really fascinated by the kinds of content that you make, and about and by your adaptability within the industry as a content creator. Because I feel like you're someone who has been working in this field for a long time now.
Yeah.
And and you've really adapted to the new technologies as they've popped up, and the different ways to make money in this. And as a new content creator myself, I love to talk to people who, you found a decent amount of success in this.
Yeah. It's hard. Oh my gosh, it's hard. And I feel like it gets harder the older you get, and the older you get, the more things that come out that you have to learn. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like TikTok, I am struggling with, because I can't wrap my head around it. It's way too much work for such little return if you fail. It's just like there's no way to like push it to be better if people don't like it. And the thing is for myself, I'm always downplaying myself, but I just feel like I'm very boring. I don't do the weird cat dances that everybody does. I don't understand it. I'm like, I can't do the whole cute blat. I can't do it.
You just did though. I mean, like I could edit this. I could edit this video into a TikTok. It'd probably do really well too.
I doubt it. I just have no faith in myself. Just not like, I see these cute girls on TikTok, and I know my market. Okay, I know it's got to be like the cute anime stuff, and I have to do the weird dance and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm so self-conscious. I'll look at myself. I'm like, you look stupid. Stop. Like, So I can't. That's one that I've been struggling with. Which I like, because it's natural. It's normal. I'm not, following some trend. I'm just being myself. And if people like that, they click on it. That's easier for me, because I'm basically surrounding myself with people who like me. TikTok, you're like catering to people. And I think that's where I struggle, is finding that balance of catering and doing something I'm passionate about. You have to have that balance of the creative.
Yeah, I find TikTok really interesting because it's so I have no idea who's watching this. You know what I mean? Like, so yes. Clarissa and I have 2 TikToks that we posted on the Nerdy Nightly account that both have over 750,000 views.
Whoa!
And we have one that's almost at 1 million views. And what's really weird about it is that, like, I got 1 million views on it, almost 1 million views on a TikTok, and then the next TikTok I posted got like 120 views, and then like the one after that was 10,000, and the one after that was like 600, and then so the thing about TikTok that I find so fascinating is I don't feel like I'm community building there, and I don't feel like I can like I don't feel like I have like, oh, a group of followers who like my content. It's TikTok either shows people your content or it doesn't, and so it doesn't feel like I'm doing it for anyone except for TikTok, which is a weird thing. Whereas like when we make a YouTube video or when we go live on Twitch, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of who it's for. Like we have a really strong Discord community. We have a really strong community of people who like our stuff. And I can make content for those people because I like those people. I talk with them in the Discord. And so it's much easier to make content for people that I'm like, oh, the people on this other end are going to like it and I like them, versus TikTok where I'm like, I really hope the algorithm likes this.
Yeah. And that's what I have an issue with is fitting into this. I feel like it's a cookie cutter and just like jamming myself into it.
Yeah.
Rather than just, here's the cookie. It's kind of a mess, but here it is and it's fun and delicious. Like that's the content I make. Like, you know, you either like it or you don't, but like TikTok is so like I think TikTok is hard because you can see yourself as a failure too easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you're like, yes, I'm successful, I'm doing great, I did it, and then the next day you're like, okay, what did I do wrong? Why do you hate me? What happened? And you know, as a content creator, you can't really look at things like that, but you look at patterns. That's part of your business. That's part of your job. And so when there's no pattern, it's chaos, and can't do it. I freak out.
Yeah, 100%. So going into just the video game side of it, do you remember what the first video game you ever played was?
It was Street Fighter 2. And so as a kid, I tell this story a lot, but I think it's kind of funny because when I was a kid, my mom was Filipino, so I grew up in like this really old school household. My mom tried to make me ladylike, dresses and pigtails. I was adorable. I was a little doll, but I couldn't play video games. That's for boys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have this video of me playing. It was on my birthday. It was on like my 4th birthday. I had no friends because nobody came to my birthday party, and I just sat there making these meatballs out of Play-Doh. And so I had cooking sets for days, and I learned how to set a table and stuff, like just the weirdest things for girl child to learn. And I wanted to play video games. So anytime I hung out with my cousins, I had 3 boy cousins and 1 girl cousin, and we always hang out. And then late at night, you know, you separate. The girls go in this room, boys go in this room. I didn't understand that as a kid. I was like, well, that's stupid. I want to hang out with them. So I would crawl out onto the roof through the window so I could go into their room to play video games. We just play Street Fighter and what is it, Dead or Alive? I don't know. There was like a lot of big boobies in it, and I think that's what I love boobs need. I'm obsessed with big booby video games. I wasn't allowed to have it, so now.
It sounds like you should play the new Resident Evil then, because that Lady Dimitrescu.
Right. Oh, and then my first crush was Wesley Snipes and Blade, so like smash all that together, and I'm in heaven.
I get that. Wesley Snipes and Blade it's hot.
Oh, yes.
He is so jacked in that movie. And he's always wet, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he's just slick and yummy. That was my first crush ever. I remember seeing the Standee at the movie theaters, and I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
and now Mahershala Ali's gonna play him. Ooh,
I know, right?
I could just die. Oh, I love that guy. Anyways, video games. That was my first video game. And I would main Chun-Li, and so obsessed with Chun-Li, and now and that kind of led to I can be good at video games if I'm really fast at button mashing. I don't have to be good. I could just really be fast. And so I loved fighting games, which led me into like the Mortal Kombat. Watching the movie, my favorite thing in the whole wide world.
I really, really wanted to love the Mortal Kombat movie.
You can just let it happen.
So here's my thing. I really enjoy Mortal Kombat. I think like the games are amazing. One of the first Nerdy Nightly guests when I first started the podcast was my friend Madison, who did the motion capture work, some of the motion capture work for Mortal Kombat 11. So that was like one of the first podcasts I did, which was really fun. But the movie just really for me, like, part of Mortal Kombat is the fact that you can't cheat. It has to come down to the tournament. And so the movie just makes this decision at the beginning where they're like, well, we're going to cheat. And that's how we're going to win.
But they're bad guys.
And I was like, yeah, but you're not supposed to be able to cheat. And that's what, it just bugged me so much the whole movie. And I enjoyed it. I thought the fights were really fun, and you know, I really want a sequel, but I wanted a tournament. Like I was like, why are you doing Mortal Kombat and not having it be a fighting tournament? Like
They're
why?
doing the reality TV thing where they've just took down. They're like, ha ha ha! You gotta wait for a sequel.
I know. I just hope they get the sequel, right? Because it is the danger of coming out right now. Is they did all right at the box office. You know, they made a little bit of money, but you know, that movie would have done way better in non-COVID times, right?
Normal circumstances, people would have been just flocking to the theaters.
Yeah, and you know, we don't know what the HBO Max numbers were, so maybe Warner Brothers thinks it's justified, but I wanted to get a sequel, but I want the tournament. Like I'm like, if you're gonna make a Mortal Kombat movie, give me the tournament. And yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough.
What were your expectations? Like, okay, have you seen
my expectations were very low.
Yeah. Did you see I mean, you've seen the first one, right? The like old school.
I think that's a better movie. I prefer the 90s Mortal Kombat movie to the new one.
Raiden is white as heck.
Oh no. Problematic. Oh no. No. I will agree with you there. Raiden? It is a very problematically cast movie. I am not disagreeing with you at all.
But Mowgli was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I also was like, this Cole Young guy, fine, sure.
Yeah.
Like Louis Tan is an amazing actor. I didn't come here
for the story.
Yeah, but like you had Goro taken out by a guy whose superpower is that he is bad at fighting.
It was weird. Okay, that was weird, and I wanted more Goro, and I was I don't know. I really liked the old school because I think it was more practical. I was watching it last night, and I was like, how did they do this? Like with the technology they had, and I'm sure you remember Reptile being freaking that guy from Monsters Inc. He looked exactly like him. It was awful. I was like, ew, what are you doing?
But it was practical, right? Like, whereas like, and Goro's my guy. When I play Mortal Kombat, like Goro is, Goro, like he's my number one Mortal Kombat character. And so the fact that he went down so easily, I was just like, damn it. That's my boy.
I love it. I love
what they've done to my boy.
I know, he's too fast. Like, I was way too fast. Give him a couple fatalities first.
Well, they had to kill off all the bad guys in the movie.
But they're gonna come back. They're bad guys.
I hope so.
They came from the underworld anyways. They're coming back, please. Like, you would ever not see them again. People would pee their pants and leave.
I don't know. There's so many Mortal Kombat characters that I feel like this Mortal Kombat franchise doesn't need it. Right? They could introduce. They could introduce like 9 new bad guys each. Say they do a trilogy, right? Like they could just have new bad guys each time, except for Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero will have to come back because.
Yes.
He's Sub-Zero. It's there's certain things you can't do without.
Right. And see, that's what gives me hope is that he disappeared the same way everybody else disappeared. I'm thinking, you know what? They're gonna resurrect him or whatever. On back because Melina was.
Oh yeah, Melina was great.
Oh, I freaked out.
Melina's CGI was some of the stronger CGI too. Like she looked really good the whole time.
I think they did a good job with it. Like
I think so too. I think that I got caught up on a little thing and it like kind of like took over my ability to enjoy the rest of the movie. So it's just like, no, they can't cheat. Raiden would stop them.
No.
No.
I refuse the rest of the movie.
Raiden's too powerful for this. I like to pretend that I'm not that kind of nerd, but at the same time, like, I know I am.
See, I came in and I was like, oh, yes! I'm so glad not many people were in the theaters because I would not shut up. I was sitting there grabbing my husband, just like, did you see it? Just the fatalities and just all my magical things that I've ever wanted. Like these people who are obsessed with Avengers and stuff, or like Captain America or whatever, like they're like, yes, my person coming into life, from my comic books that I read as a child. This is close to my heart. So fighting games were close to my heart. So seeing it on the big screen, it was almost the same as like Detective Pikachu. I just peed my pants. I was so excited because video games were my life. I guess I pee my pants a lot. I never have, but like. It's my expression, apparently.
I haven't either, but I've heard good things. I've heard it's very warm, right? Like,
Yeah. But then it gets cold later, you know? It's kind of like
true.
sweat, so I guess.
Oh, man.
Great. Video games.
Video
Pee your
games.
pants.
I mean, look, there are some people who will play until they pee their pants, you know. You hear
Yeah.
about those WoW players who play in diapers because they don't want to have to get up and go to the bathroom.
When you just bring your laptop onto the toilet. I feel like that's smarter.
Is it?
Just
I feel like
bring
that's not
your
sanitary.
whole setup.
That's the problem with the
Not.
Switch, right? Like the Switch, you can just play Switch on the toilet. It's like it
Yes.
really is a magic system. If they could just make a waterproof Switch that I could play in the shower, I would be very happy.
Googled that for like 2 hours the other day because I'm like, I want to be in my bubble tubby, just
Mhm.
sitting there playing my Switch.
Mhm. I
My
feel like,
husband's always playing Dead by Daylight in the tub.
wait, how?
He just sits there with his arms out, playing his Dead by Daylight.
Oh, is Dead by Daylight on the Switch?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, the graphics are,
Yeah.
Switch graphics, but I mean, that's worth it for the fact that I can bring it everywhere with me.
Mm-hmm. My first time ever playing through Witcher 3,
Oh.
I was going on this cruise ship job, and so I bought Witcher 3 because I was like, I'm going to have so much free time, because I was supposed to be on there for 6 months. I was on there for 6 weeks. Thanks, COVID.
That's
But so I
different.
bought Witcher 3 for the Switch, and I was playing through it on there. And then we got, we ended up moving. We're in Toronto now. But Clarus has this incredible computer, and I was like, well, let me boot up Witcher 3 on the PC. Let me see what it looks like. And the difference between the Switch graphics of that game and the PC graphics it's so drastic. It's really something. Like I could take the Switch or the PC version all the way down to like low settings, and it still looks better.
Yeah, it's like going from like early 2000 to today
Mhm,
with
yeah.
graphics. But I mean, it's so convenient though. Like the fact that I play like never stop playing.
Sorry, you
Skyrim.
cut out there for a second. What was that?
Oh, I said I will never stop playing Skyrim, and so the fact that I can fit in, I bought like 3 copies of that game for different systems just because of convenience, and so the fact that I have it on Switch, I wish I had downloaded it because I play it so often. I hate the whole get out, put it back in.
Mhm.
It's not that inconvenient, but I'm very lazy, so it's a lot.
Those minor inconveniences, they really get you.
Right? First world problems. I hate complaining. You realize how stupid it is.
Oh yeah, I'm really just having to plug cartridges into my Nintendo Switch so that I can play a 1080p video game anywhere in the world. It's so hard.
It's so hard. You don't know what my life is like. Oh, God.
I don't get the Skyrim thing. And like everyone I know. And here's the thing, like I am married to a woman whose main Twitch brand is that every Skyrim is Skyrim, or every Saturday is Skyrim Saturday. Like she plays Skyrim constantly. And I'm amazed.
You should.
But like it was one of the first games I streamed because I was starting streaming. I haven't had a PC in years, right? I've always had a Mac, so I've only been a console gamer. And so Clarissa was like, "Well, if you're gonna start streaming, play Skyrim." And I was like, "Fine, fine." And so I played through. I beat it, but it just people love this game in a way that it just doesn't do it for me.
You beat it. You never beat it. You just keep going on side quests until you collect all the books and all of the land. And then you have all the houses, and you married all the pretty ladies, and then maybe you'll go back on the normal quest.
I guess
you gotta play it right, man.
I think that might be my problem. I like to win things. Like I like to get to I like end points, and I think that a game that's like do whatever you want, I'm like, that's too much like my life.
I need structure. I need guidance.
I don't need this to be like real life. I need this to be a video game.
See, for me, I'm very structured. I'll freak out, but in video games, I'm like, I want to go over here. I want to marry you. Maybe I'll marry you. I don't know. Let's adopt some kids. I'm just all over the place with video games. But in real life, I'm like, this is my planner. Like my calendar is stupid. It's just this time, this time. Yeah. Unless we have, messed up time zones. In that case, it's just all hell breaks loose.
I am very sorry about that. I should have
No.
cleared that up. I don't actually know where you are. For some reason, I thought that you were in Atlanta because so many of the people I know on Twitch are in Atlanta.
No,
And I
I'm
think I
in
just
Utah.
assumed that you're in Utah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's I'm very opposite of what Utah is, but it is gorgeous. I
Hmm.
love it. The
Oh,
people are
Utah's
really
beautiful.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. It's like a little snow globe. I love it.
So I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, which is just north of you.
Mhm.
And I have 5 brothers and sisters. Um,
Oh,
so we would
wow.
drive into the States a lot because my mom is from the South, and we would drive down
Mhm.
there. And I remember there was one time we were driving across the border, and apparently there was a Mormon convention or something going on in Utah. And so the
Oh,
border guard saw that my parents had 6 kids, and was like, "Oh, y'all going to that Mormon convention?" And we were all like, "No, no, there's just a lot of us."
if you're white and you have 6 kids,
Yeah,
most likely.
yeah, most likely. Yeah.
My husband is one of 6 kids, and his family is Mormon. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's the only one who's not. So I picked him. But they're just so sweet and they're nerdy like us. So I think Utah. It came in like a survey or something, a Google survey
Hmm.
of Utah being the nerdiest state in the U.S. because
That's
of Google.
fascinating.
Isn't
Um,
that weird?
no, it's not. So Utah has a weird, like, there's some weird statistics about Utah that I find fascinating because the Mormon Church is the way that it is. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
fair to say that Utah. So Pornhub, the site, puts out statistics every year about porn viewing in the United States,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, it's our pandemic here.
yeah, the number one state in terms of hours watched of Pornhub is Utah, which is funny because the population there, for the most part, isn't allowed to watch porn.
Hmm. They're really good at lying about it. Like, come on, we all watch it. Let's be adults,
Hmm.
okay?
Well,
It's not a problem unless you just call it a problem. It's not. You're
it's
fine.
what they found was that like the most taboo thing in an area is the thing that's watched the most. So like in the South, it's all like ebony porn. And
Hmm.
and Utah, where it's the most taboo, is the place where it's watched the most. And I find that is such a fascinating thing about humans, that the thing that we're
Yeah.
told not to do is the thing that we absolutely will do.
Video games and big boobies. My life. Full circle here.
I don't think there's anything wrong with either of those things though.
Right. Well, I was raised to like, be ladylike and go to school and be a housewife and kids. None of those things.
I mean, yeah, you kind of have the opposite life of that, right? Because
I really
you work very hard.
do.
You create a
Yeah.
lot of incredible content, and you travel before COVID. You traveled a lot. You were
Mhm.
a con girl.
Oh
Is that
yeah.
a that's not a rude way to say that, right? But you went to a lot of
I guess
cons.
it depends on who you ask. I don't care.
Yeah, I just mean literally. My following you online. My understanding is that you are constantly at a different convention somewhere pre-pandemic.
Yeah, I miss those days.
Me too. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
weird.
The day New York Comic Con comes back, I'm there.
Yeah.
Hopefully this year, but we'll see. Um, just if you don't want to answer this, I totally understand. But is that a huge hit for you financially, like the lack of cons?
Dude, so what's interesting is in the beginning of the pandemic, we were fine,
Mm-hmm.
and then a year after the pandemic, so all through 2020 to the end of 2020, we were fine. Early 2021, it's different. I don't know why it hit so late,
Mm-hmm.
but I think people were starting to realize, okay, I can't really extra stuff, and everything I do is extra. So
Mm-hmm.
I think people have dropped off of that. So there's the mixture of people losing their jobs,
Mm-hmm.
um, me not being able to go to conventions anymore because they were closed out, and it wasn't necessarily my moneymaker, but it did get me out to meet. So I got to see new people all the
Mm-hmm.
time. They would tell their friends and their friends. And, that's a new market here, or here's New York or California, or wherever I went. And so that was another one. And then my mental health plummeting because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize I was such a people person till
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see people anymore. So, like, I remember the first time I saw, it was like 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks since I had seen my nephew, and I bawled my eyes out the first time I saw him. I was like, I thought I'd never see you again. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I don't know, it was my mental state just plummeted. And so I, for that first year, hadn't like blocked up all of this content because usually I'm sure you usually do content. Okay, I'm tired, take a week.
Yeah.
But you have it all stored, and I just stopped. And so I went through all of my backup and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, now I'm back to square one. And it's just hard because when there's no new blah, 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 new movies,
Mm-hmm.
weird thing to say, when there's no new movies coming in, comic book movies, no video games, nothing's being made. You have no inspiration. Not like, oh, that's so cool. Okay, I have to cosplay that right
Mm-hmm.
now. So I didn't have that. And then being around other people that get excited about things and kind of encourage you, they're like, oh, I love that thing. Like, for instance, Mortal Kombat. Like, even though, if you didn't like it, but I liked it, it's still something that you're passionate to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still kind of, it lights a fire within you to do something cool from that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so without all the creation happening, there's no creation for me happening. So it was just hard because there was no wave to ride of popularity. Like, oh, Mortal Kombat keeps coming up, but Mortal Kombat, just came up. So everyone's going to cosplay Mortal Kombat, and then it'll, dip, and then a new movie comes. But for almost 2 years, there's been nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been such a mixture of things of even now I probably won't be able to go to a lot of conventions, one because I can't afford it, and two because the conventions can't afford me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's struggling. So I would like to be able to go to conventions. I want to support them staying alive because
Mm-hmm.
there's such a wonderful thing in my life and everybody's life. So I'm hoping that I can work something out with a few different conventions, but it's hard for everyone right now. And I think everybody's really feeling it after kind of riding that wave of, I'm okay. I don't think I'm okay anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do now?
Yeah, I'm really nervous for these first conventions back.
Yeah.
Because but prior to the pandemic, I was a theater actor. And so I have a degree in musical theater, and I've been a touring singer, musician, actor my whole life, right? That's literally all I've done. And so I got to when the pandemic began, we were working on a cruise ship. We're both, we were doing a musical on a cruise ship together, and we got sent home, and I was like, look, I've got this podcast, like, let's do this. And all that to say, there's been talk recently of Broadway opening up in September, and Broadway's going to come back, which sounds great, right? And after being closed for so long, I'm really happy for that. But Broadway has a really, really tight margin. And if a show is selling 60% of its tickets, it generally closes because that's not enough to make money. And there's a real concern for me that Broadway opening up in September, or these conventions coming back, are going to have the same issue, that they're going to spend a lot of money, a lot of more money than they would have previously to be COVID safe. They're going to open, right, and then the drive to go to these cons won't be there. The international travel won't be there.
Right.
And next year's cons won't be able to happen because the money lost on this year's cons is going to be detrimental. And I'm really worried about that because Comic-Con for me has been like the best part of the year since I was a kid, right? Like that's what I saved my money for. That's what I saved my time for. Every job I've ever had, I'm like, look, I know it's January, but I need you to know these 4 days in October blocked off. I'm going to New York Comic-Con. I'm not available. I'm busy. Which has been harder lately because it's so hard to get tickets now. But yeah. I'm genuinely concerned about these things opening up this year and having a bad, New York Comic Con has 115,000 people there every day. If that's 60,000 people there, that sounds great. It's a lot of money lost though. And I don't know. I really want conventions to exist for the next 50 years. And I'm worried how this year is going to do that. what
Yeah.
effect that'll have, especially after the
Yeah.
money lost last year.
Right. And it's like not only that, but you have like these vendors that need to buy a booth, but can they afford a booth?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I feel like it's almost right now would be basically a passion project for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We all
100%.
realize we're not going to make any money, but in order to keep this going and keep this alive, we all just have to go there and support it as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the only way to keep it alive, and that's why me and my husband had to talk about it because when you travel, you're taking away money from being stable because
Mm-hmm.
you're like, okay, I can either not make any money or I can make some, but usually it's not like, yay, I'm gonna be dancing in money. At least for me, for conventions, it's just it doesn't happen. But I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna support this convention, and I'm gonna meet new people and new markets. So it's
Mm-hmm.
basically advertising. So we all have to like really try to work together to make these things, and I assume that would be really hard for celebrities even.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they're struggling or if they're in high demand and everyone's going to spend all their money on them, and then what if nobody comes? What if people came for a lot of the cosplay stuff and a lot of the artist booths? All we did was spend our money on celebrities and nobody's here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
honestly, I don't. The celebrities are I don't really care about that part of con. It's not really interesting to me. I'm not the kind of person who waits in line to talk to someone for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm more there to talk to other people who are there because
Mm-hmm.
con for me is really the largest gathering of people who care about the stuff that I care about as much as I do. And so
Right.
those conversations, I don't, and I think part of that is that I've worked in television and film, and like I've met enough celebrities in life that like I just have a different perspective on that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's really about interacting with other nerds, right? And like
Right.
the people that I don't get to see at my restaurant job or my when I'm doing Oklahoma, the rest of the
Yeah.
cast maybe doesn't care so much about the new X-Men movie. Um, and so that's the part of it that I want to come back, but that's also the hardest part. That's the hardest part to
Right.
get back to. Yeah.
Right.
Um, but now, and now you found Twitch. How long have you been streaming on Twitch?
I just had like my 1 year anniversary in April.
Oh, so you started
So
in the pandemic.
yes, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that that's actually it hasn't replaced conventions because it's definitely not as what's the, like monetarily supportive
Mm-hmm.
as conventions were, because finding new markets is really hard on Twitch too.
Yeah.
It's the whole like algorithm thing. It's basically just collaborating with other people and making new friends, and being active in the community, which I like. But it's not the same. So I basically replaced conventions with outreach to new people, and try it out because I don't know if YouTube is right for me. Like I said, like I just don't like recording myself. I
Yeah.
never, and I'm so proud of you for being an actor because like I can't do it. I hate myself too much. So
The secret is
I
I
like
do too. I um I find value in being liked by other people, which is really hard. Um, being an actor is a miserable profession for most of us. But we need it. It's very gross. Unfortunately, it's very. If you ever like have a really honest conversation with an actor about why they do it, it's what you find out is that we're very sad people.
Oh my gosh, no, I feel that. Like even as a content creator, I'm like, it not necessarily because I need approval, but I've never made friends like in real life
Hmm.
very easily. So finding these kind of uh, outcasts, such as myself and other people who are outcasts, you're like, that's so lovely.
Hmm.
Hello.
I'm really surprised to hear that you are a very bubbly person. And like I've watching your Twitch content and whatnot, you're just you're happy, you're outwardly happy and like joyful in a way that I'm like it's very magnetic. I feel like you would be a person that people would gravitate to. Um,
Fun. That's all I want. I
yeah, I
want
just you smile a lot more naturally than I do. It's a lot more work to get me there.
smiling's my favorite.
um,
I think it's just because I want what I wasn't given enough of. I just can't like
mhm.
here's all of it and then I go and sleep. for the rest of the day because I'm like, I just too much of myself.
So you're a
And
koala
it's
then.
bad for me.
Yeah. You've been playing the new Pokemon Snap. It is the one of the latest games
Yeah.
out there, and you've been playing it. I did want to talk about it. This is a video games podcast. Might as well cover the new thing. How do you feel
Yes,
they did? Did you play the original?
I did. Okay, so again with the whole like I wasn't allowed to play video games. We went to Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, did I play video games. My parents would go look for
Mm-hmm.
Titanic for 2 hours. I'd be playing Pokemon.
Because they used to have those stands that would have like the N64. That's right. I forgot about that.
Oh, it makes my heart so happy because like
Mm-hmm.
that's the only experience I had with that. I had no consoles at home. Would have to sneak over to my friend's house to play anything. So I only played like Kirby and Street Fighter. Those are the ones that stand out in
It's
my
two
head.
good games though.
Yes.
At least it wasn't like E.T. I only played E.T. until
Oh no.
no. I was very fortunate. My grandmother loved to buy me games my mom didn't want me to have.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's a
and
good
so
grandma.
right, yeah. So it was. I was very fortunate that my grandmother liked to stir the pot by
Mhm.
giving me things I wanted.
That's so
So
cute.
how did you feel about the new Pokemon Snap? Where does it rank for
Um,
you?
I I love it, but I have a hard time like necessarily recommending it to people because
Mm.
um I can't tell, and I have this struggle too. Is do I like this because it's nostalgic, or do I like it because it's good? And I feel like a lot of people have that
Mm.
issue with Star Wars because they're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, I love it, it's so good," and when you watch it outside of the perspective of, "Oh, I grew up with this, it's close to me," you're like, probably
It
not.
is actually. It is. It very much is.
I do love it though. I do love Star Wars. I just have more of a connection to the new one. But
This is the big
Pokemon,
fight between me and Clarus. Um,
really?
yeah, because she doesn't like the sequels.
Oh.
And I love all of it. Like I think it's all great.
Mhm.
But yeah, she does not like The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker at all, and I think they're great. So it's like the one thing in our relationship that's like one point of contention between us. Um, yeah, which
I
anyone who's
love
watched our channel for any amount of time knows. We will argue about it.
That's
Um,
awesome.
you're a big fan of the new ones, right? You're a big Rey fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
because
it just
I
because you
do
look like her?
a little bit. A little bit because I've never had any actress look anything like me. So I'm like, yeah.
Hmm.
But I didn't grow up with Star Wars.
Hmm.
So this was my nostalgia. This was me going to the theaters, experiencing it, and fully paying attention to it
Hmm.
with all of my heart. It's also the first date. It's
Which
very
one?
The Force Awakens,
That was your
December
first
18th.
date? That
Yeah.
is so cute. Oh my god.
Yeah. So we got to be together for all of them and go to all the midnight releases. Oh, it's been magical. So,
So you don't
so
know if
very cool.
Pokemon Snap is a nostalgia thing or a good game?
I don't know. I adore it. It's so easy, and you don't have to pay attention to it. It's like playing Animal Crossing. You know, you don't
Hmm.
play it for story or anything. And it's so cute that Pokemon Snap tries to give you a story. Like, I don't care, Professor Mirror. I
Yeah.
don't. That's not a tree. I don't know who
Well,
thought of that.
it's a thing in Japan apparently. There are they make these trees out of glass. And so it's a reference to that, but it's also the mirror in the camera. It's like
Oh,
they're trying to be meta.
it's not a tree.
It's also not a main series game, so like I'll forgive that. I'll forgive that
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll give them a slight pass. They could have Professor Twig. At least it'd be part of a tree. But anyways,
I have a problem with Sonia in Sword and Shield becoming the professor. Because I'm like, Sonia's not a
oh
tree.
yeah. See,
It's such a
this
dumb thing to care about.
is you being caught up on Mortal Kombat because
Hmm.
they're cheating.
Hmm. Yeah.
Me being caught up on Pokemon Snap because he's not a freaking tree.
See, I agree with that though. With the nostalgia thing, I love the new Pokemon Snap, and I thought they did a really good job with it. But if you
Mhm.
don't like Pokemon, I wouldn't recommend the game. Like I don't think it's a good game for people who aren't fans, but I think that for people who enjoy Pokemon and want a casual like relaxing game to play, I think it actually fits that world really well. Like, I think it's a really good version of that. It's something that
Yeah.
you can lie in bed when you're feeling sick, and there's
Yeah.
no stress, so you just play. It's calm. Bidoof
Mhm.
is so cute with his
Oh
little
my
butt, and
god!
you just
Have you
yeah.
gotten them to follow you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I turn around, they're so cute. I love
I streamed
it.
it once the day that it came out, um,
Mhm. Me
and
too.
I didn't love it. I was like,
Oh,
I don't want an audience for this. Like, I don't want to have the camera on for this. This is like, I want to go chill. Like, I don't want to have to be on while I'm playing this game. This is like, whereas like
wait,
Resident
I
Evil,
wish
like,
I had done that.
yeah, yeah.
I
So,
totally wish I had done that because I did a 13-hour stream
mm-hmm,
playing that game, and I
yeah,
just should have just soaked it all in because I was doing this, was doing this, doing this,
mm-hmm.
doing this. I wasn't really like nostalgia and like breathing it in. So I've been playing it off camera for the rest of the time, but I love it. Personally, I love it. $60, love it. I don't know. So
I
me and
agree.
my husband
Mm-hmm,
sharing it, it's too simple of a game. It's too short of a game.
mm-hmm.
For $60 for member berries is not, I don't know. It's not, I don't know.
That is a real question though. Like, how much is a video game worth now? Because especially now that we're going into the PS5 games are going to be 70, and in Canada that means 100, right? Like, for in Canada, Pokemon Snap is like $85, I think, just because of the conversion rate of the currency. Um, so
Ooh.
which is fine because we make money mostly from Americans, so it
Yeah.
works for us. Most of our money comes in American anyway, so that difference isn't as striking. But yeah, there is no rule about how long a game has to be to sell for $60. We just all kind of have agreed $60 is the price we pay for a video game.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's just it, and so like right now I haven't beat it yet, but I know I'm very close and I don't want it to end because I feel cheated if I do. So I'm like playing everything till I get like level.
Hmm.
So, but I'm just struggling because I'm like, I shouldn't have to make this a long game. Like,
Hmm.
I played Little Nightmares too. I don't know if you've played that game.
I've
It's
not.
so
I've
fun.
watched it on Twitch a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun and it's a well made game and it's a whole universe and it's fun. It has a story. It's perfect. It's a fantastic game and that was worth $60. But Pokemon Snap is, hey, take some pictures. Hey, here's a new landscape. But you're gonna play those same six landscapes.
Hmm.
Here's, I think it's like 10. Here's 10 landscapes. Here's a variation of dark like nighttime, light time, and here's one Pokemon that only you can take pictures of and nothing else will pop. It's just it seems when I break it down, minus nostalgia, minus the fact that it has the name Pokemon Sleep, it's not to me personally, I just don't think it's 60. So it's just a lot to ask for a non-complete world of a game.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just finished Resident Evil 8, and it took me about 10 hours on like standard mode. And
Mm-hmm.
when I think about the difference, I'm like, yeah, it only took me 10 hours to beat it, and it took me about 12 hours to beat Pokemon Snap. But the
Mm-hmm.
difference is, I could and probably will go back and play Resident Evil 8 again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's replayability in it for me because like I haven't been the hardest mode, I haven't gotten all the collectibles. Like, there's like a genuine like, oh, there's like things to do again. Whereas like I wouldn't start Pokemon Snap over. There wouldn't be there isn't like other than getting 4 stars on every single photo dex Pokemon, there's not a reason to go through it again.
No.
There's
There's
no
no
yeah.
like competitiveness to it. There's
Hmm.
no like for me and my husband were talking about this is Pokemon Sun and Moon was my one of my favorite installments
Hmm.
because of the fact that there was like four different stories going on that you
Hmm.
could really dig into. And that's a full game, you
Hmm.
know? Like I feel like Pokemon Snap is maybe right when it comes out worth probably $30. It's I mean when you think about it, it's a children's game. It's not
Yeah.
complicated. It's not hard. There's no diverse story of I don't know. There really isn't much content to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
take some pictures, have some fun, relax, take your mind off of everything, and look at really cute.
Yeah.
But that's about it. It's there's not much content to it.
When I
It's
think
just
about it, I think about the Squadrons game, the Star Wars game that EA put out last year, the
hmm
Starfighter one, and they put it out at $40. And because they put it out at $40 instead of 60, no one complained that it was shorter. You know what I mean? And it ended up
That's
being I think Squadrons was a really great experience. Like I'm a big fan of that game, and I still play it every now and then when I can. Unfortunately, not a lot of people play it, so it is actually hard to get into a match now because it's fallen
yeah.
off. Which is the downside of there being no post game content, right? And them not wanting to have anything to pay for means they can't keep putting time into it. It is really a double edged sword of those two things. But I think if they had put this out at like a $40 range with Pokemon Snap, it would have been more justifiable. But
hmm
I don't think it would have sold more because the problem is they outsold everything else, right? Like it was the number one game that weekend. Um,
hmm
it outsold Returnal, but Returnal's only on PS5, so that makes sense. But it sold incredibly well, and they made a crap ton of money. So from Nintendo's eyes, they have to be like, whatever, like
Yeah,
we
they
win.
don't have to put
Yeah.
any effort. Really, they don't. You slap the word Pokemon on it. You put in some member berries in there, and it's sold.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, everybody's been asking for Pokemon Snap. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I've ever wanted, and it's exactly what I got. That's exactly what I
Yeah.
expected. I just didn't expect to pay that much for such a small amount of game.
I was hoping there'd be more Pokemon because there's only 214 Pokemon in it, which is a little under a quarter of the total
Why
number of
would
Pokemon.
they just come out with 151? Why wouldn't you do that? Hello? Just start with the first generation, then add the next generation and whatever downloadable
See,
crap you have.
I'm hoping that there's going to be updates. I think that
I'm assuming there's gonna
the game immediately $60 immediately becomes valuable to me if there's like a new thing that unlocks in 3 months, and it gives me a reason to
right.
pick it back up. Because honestly, now that I have all my photos, I probably won't pick it up until. Sorry, excuse me. I probably won't pick it up until an
Whatever
update.
update
Yeah.
comes.
So we've been talking for 55 minutes, so I want to thank you for your time. But I did want to, before we go, I did want to ask, like, what's next? What are you doing? What are you working towards right now?
Um, Mostly, you know the struggle of partner on Twitch. That's a
Mm-hmm.
tough one to get. So mostly right now I'm kind of focusing on Twitch, mostly because it helps my mental health and it's kind of brought out passion back into my work again,
Mm-hmm.
with the conventions. That's where I'm spending a lot of my time, and kind of like Patreon, OnlyFans type stuff is kind of side by side. My art and my passion and my photo shoots, goes through Patreon, OnlyFans, and then Twitch is where I kind of sideline advertise it, but that's more of my interaction with people,
Mm-hmm.
getting to know the people who support me and keep me going through all this. So Twitch is I try to find balance again, with balance of doing photo shoots, making content. Twitch is where my mental health has kind of blossomed.
Mm-hmm.
So Twitch, I'm trying to spend more time on Twitch, making it a fun place for people and finding new people to collaborate with and making new. And that's just been going great. So mostly Twitch is where I'm at now.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Do you have a game that you're excited? Do you have like the next video game that you're excited for?
I've been waiting for Pokemon Snap for so long. I don't even know what's coming out. It's like legitimately, that's
Mm-hmm.
all I focused on was that. And Little Nightmares came out before that, and I played that on stream. I actually loved Luigi's Mansion. That was one I had
Oh
never
yeah.
played before. I'm obsessed with that game. It was
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Oh,
Um,
I've been a big Luigi's Mansion fan. It was the GameCube, right? The first one. I love that franchise. Yeah.
I played it on the Switch the other day on my friend's Switch, which was a mistake because I sat there for 5 hours straight just playing it. I'm like, no, I'm gonna play this, and then I didn't have it on my Switch because it was his game, so I had to wait.
I'm just jealous that you got to be around friends. We're
Yeah,
still fully we're in lockdown till June 2nd. And we've
Oh
been in
God.
lockdown since November. So June will
We're
be
going to
7
movies
straight months.
today.
You're going to the movies?
Yeah, our movies are open. Like Utah's doing really, really good.
We can't
Oh,
even go to retail isn't even open. You can't buy. The only places that are open in Ontario are grocery stores and drugstores. Everything else is closed.
oh, that's rough.
Yeah,
Wow,
it's
that's like a
fun.
whole different life. My goodness.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I,
Clark, we've seen no one. Like we have literally, we're online all the time because we can't leave our house.
oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you have like this outlet though, because
Yeah.
your creativity and you get some kind of interaction from people. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know what that does for your heart. Like you're like, I need this. I just need people for the whole day.
Well, and I love streaming, but I also really like this is really special to me, and I'm so glad I started this podcast because streaming is really one directional, right? Like you're
Yeah.
reading chat, but it's just text,
Mhm.
in a way. And I know that there are people on the other side of that objectively, but like after a 12-hour stream, it's hard to like feel like you really connected to that. Whereas
Right.
just having someone talk back is really nice, so I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel that. I feel that. Like I've actually been talking on the phone a lot more, which
Oh
is
wow.
it's weird that life is going so backwards. I'm like, hey, do you want to talk on the phone? Hello, hi. It's so nice to hear you. Because I think we took it for granted for so long. We're like,
Mhm.
just text me, don't talk to me. So that's. I hope the world is kind of moving back in the direction of realizing how important people are and how much you need them.
Mhm. Yeah.
Push them away for so long. You're like, wait, come back. I love you.
See, that's how most women have gotten me to date them historically. Is just push me away until I'm like, no, 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 please,
No, please go back.
no,
Baby,
please.
come back. It's just a theme song. See, I'm aggressive. I am aggressive as hell. My husband, I asked for his phone number. We actually started dating because he played Fallout, and I didn't know which was a synth and which one wasn't. Kill one of them. And I was like, hey, can you help me figure out which one to kill? He told me the wrong one because I googled it myself anyway. But it worked. I got his number.
But hey, the fact that he was wrong and you still found him cute says a lot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the type to build a tower for 10 hours and not play the rest of the game. Same thing with me in Skyrim. I organize books for 10 hours.
Yeah.
This game's weird.
So, can I ask one last question? Just before we end here, I wanted to know you and Cole, how do you work together? Like, how do you make being content creators and making this your life work? Because Clarice and I are at the very beginning of that journey. So I've been asking content creators who make it work. How do you keep married but have your life be online?
Keep married. Oh my goodness. I don't, it's hard to say because I absolutely adore that kid. He cracks me up.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's his own TV show all the time. He's the most entertaining person I've ever been around my entire life. So it's easy. Life is really easy.
I love to hear that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, like marriage is obviously work, but it's not hard. I think that's what's important is that we've learned to talk really, really well. We've done really good at talking, and one of the most important things I learned was because a lot of people view fighting as like if you walk away, then you're just running away, which isn't true. We've sat down and said, you know what, we need a breather. You need a breather. You walk away. You find your own place in the house. You breathe for a little bit. One of you will come back when you're ready. And I think that's one of the most important things is working on communication and knowing what's best for the other person and for you and coming back, with a solid mind rather than an emotional, melty mind. So that's the biggest thing we learned and how to get away from each other without, seeming like you're running away from them. You just want to come back at a better state. More solid state.
That's awesome. That's really good advice.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, and spending time with him is just the best part of my day. So I think the hardest thing is keeping up with the house and taking care of other things that need to get done because we enjoy spending time together. So trying to push each other to be more active is what's hard.
Yeah. Yeah,
So we have
our
to
thing
do
is
that.
getting the dishes done. Because we'll
Ugh,
eat and then we just want to lie down.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so we've been learning to cook together. We'll blast some music and then we'll clean together because then it's an activity
Mm-hmm.
that you're spending together rather than a chore that you're doing alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that helps too. But this is all the stuff we've learned through COVID, which it's that silver lining of something so awful that kind of taught you more about yourself and what works and what doesn't. So we've just been really good at communicating for sure.
Yeah, I feel like COVID's going to end and there's going to be a lot of couples that break it off after COVID. And the couples that don't will be like really solid because they'll have survived this.
Yes, because this was hard to survive, I'm sure. But yeah, I remember we talked to somebody. They said that the percentage of divorce rate went super low during COVID, but also courthouses aren't open. So,
It's about to be
I'm
wild.
wondering.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens.
it's so dark, but a friend and I were joking. We were like, I wonder if like after COVID, we're just gonna like find husbands in basements for like the next couple of years. Like how many wives just got sick of it and were like, and we'll deal with this later.
Yeah, this is your home. This is my home. Okay, you stay in your home.
Hey, I'm sure they do it. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're an incredibly busy human, but is there any last things you want to plug? Anything you want people to go check out?
So my favorite thing that I've done was voice acting, and that's on That Monster Show.
Mm-hmm.
I play this little character. She's like a little octopus squid monster, and she's so adorable. And my husband actually he tried out for the same show, and he is the werewolf in the show, and
Oh,
this hillbilly alligator holding dude, and it's so fun. But we've only made the pilot episode. It's gonna take a lot of some kind of miracle for someone to fund it. But if I could have any dream in the world, that would be it. So, but if you just watch the first one, it'll show that it's liked and people like to view it. But it is really fun. It's cute and quirky. It's a bunch of little monsters
mm-hmm.
landing in Florida, which is their hell. So
And mine.
it's
Um,
yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry to my grandfather who lives in Florida.
But yeah, that's one big thing. That and watching and interacting on.
Awesome. Well,
You know,
I will have to go watch that monster show. That sounds really delightful.
yes, please do. It's so fun.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me. This was awesome.
Of course. Of course. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm glad this worked out.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad after the time zone snafu we were able to make it work.
We figured it out.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
How freaking delightful is she? I hope that you will go and give Joanie a follow across the internet. Maybe check out one of her streams. I know she's been streaming a lot of Pokemon Dynamax raids lately, so if you want to go get in on that action, maybe do a little shiny hunting with her, go hop over to twitch.tv/Joanie Brosas. It's spelled down here, or if you are listening to the podcast feed, it is in the podcast notes. If I remember to put it in there, I hope I did, because I am supposed to be a professional, but I fall short frequently in that regard. I am going to be streaming the Nerdy Lock. Come over to the twitch.tv/nerdynightly. We're going to be playing some Pokemon, playing some Resident Evil 7, probably getting back into some Dark Souls. I hope to see you over there. And as always, y'all, my name's Nerdy, and you should do something nerdy tonight. Bye.